recording on November 2nd, 2020. Here we go, yay! I'm looking forward to this day and tomorrow for a while here, maybe about 4 years.
Yep.
And I want to welcome everybody. So this is our third call with our election above the line playing around. And I want to remind everybody that your body can move energy. That's what it's great at doing, so long as you support it by moving and breathing and maybe moving some more. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else got to be in the sun today. That's nice. Oh, in Colorado, yeah, we got the sun. Yeah. And let's jump in, because here we go. Here we go. I want to just say this that I've been saying often. I like this idea, that this is what we came here for. Right now, this. Like, do you ever wonder why you decided to come to a body on this planet? This, like, what was I thinking? Well, this, right now, you're doing it. So, of course, completely arguable, perhaps even mythological. And I like that story is so because you've been getting ready for this your whole life. You're getting ready for this your whole life. So this is about holding a vibration, getting the support to hold a vibration, being in your full power. So bravo, here we are. We're doing it together. Together. That's nice, huh? You don't have to do it all by yourself. Lots of people with you. So last time I was talking to you about how good you are at hypnotizing yourself. So I'd like to open with that to see if anybody was able to watch themselves do that. Oh, Suzanne says yes, okay. And if you would describe to us anything that you noticed about what a master you are at hypnotizing yourself.
Oh, hi, thank you. I was waving at Lynn, thanking her for muting her mic. But if you want me to talk, I will.
Sure, okay, thanks. So did you notice anything about hypnotizing yourself?
Yes, I've been working on my story, actually, my truth of, when I share my truth, it's a burden to others.
Oh, ooh, that's a good one.
And it has helped me tremendously. Tremendously.
To say more, to see that story, or?
Well, to explore it and to see how that's a truth from my childhood, my family dynamic. And right, how I could feel the differentials of what it felt like then, and then do a comparison for now. And, like the sea of that, and really magical work.
Wow.
Thank you.
Glad you were waving at Lynn. So who else? Like, what was the story that you kind of pulled out from the thrumming in the background? Like, what story do you notice takes up some of your maybe unconscious awareness, or maybe even your full awareness? I want to tell you right now, because I have an Apple Watch, it's so fun, but for some reason it's doing that. You need to breathe. I don't know if that's random or if it actually is tuning into something, but okay.
You accidentally pressed the little button.
I did, because it was saying, it was encouraging it, and I somehow was like,
yeah.
So let's all take a breath. Look at it. So, isn't that nice? See if it goes down, if you come back up.
Oh, mine doesn't. There we go.
Somebody designed that. That's cool. Anybody else's story that you could tell us about?
I was noticing earlier last week, just that I get very hypnotized by, there's so much to do.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Not like, there's so much to do, but, there's so much to do. Which I don't know, that it feels a little innocuous. It doesn't feel quite as hypnotizing as, holy shit, what are we going to do on November 3rd? But it was there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, innocuous maybe, except looks like other people can relate. And I'm imagining, you know, that voice with a stick behind you. Kind of, there's so much to do. Keep going. Like, there's just so much to do. And who knows? I mean, is it true? It's a story, and that here's your body, which may or may not be actually so excited by that, or even wanting to be doing those things. Oh, yeah, Sundari's, and I'm not doing enough. Except I'm not going to read the rest of your, if Sundari, if you want to tell us more. Great.
Okay. Just that when I think, oh, there's so much to do and it's heavy in my body, the next thing that I think is, and I'm not doing enough.
Oh, right.
I'm not environmental enough. I didn't make enough phone bank calls. I didn't this. I didn't that. I'm not on top of it.
Right. So starting to see that this is pretty much what's going on. I mean, I think of it as our own personal operating system. So I like the idea of regular updates to operating systems, like that can help, and it might be useful for you because some of those operating systems were installed a long time ago. and you might have missed a few rounds of, oh wait, your whole self could be operating much more efficiently or maybe more joyfully if you install the updates. So that's really what this is about, is saying, okay, now that you can start to see what you're doing and understand how good you are at doing that. I mean, I really want to keep emphasizing that point, that those places that we go when we get into, I had a good despair day a couple days ago. I was way in despair. I can't remember what I was saying, but it all in despair for me, it all comes down to I should be dead, some version of that, or I can't do anything about it. But that's just this constant, like the words that run through. And I believe that words have frequencies and ideas have frequencies, and that's what we're starting to link together here, is that with the inner map, every level of consciousness has its own frequency. So that the story you're telling yourself is not just, well, I mean, it's words, but the words themselves have the power to anchor you to a certain level of consciousness, which that's powerful, because then you might want to be more choosy about your words and the stories, because as Suzanne said, like that was a story from your childhood and from your family, and so that was fine for them. And I think some of our stories people came up with 100 years ago or 150 years ago when there was famine, or I had a lot of stories from my mother's Depression era existence. One big one was about food, that I have a particular persona named Roly-Poly who still gets worried about that story. There isn't going to be enough. So Roly-Poly really likes to know when there's going to be food. And I tell her, because I've grown to respect that. But that was installed from somebody else's experience. Now, it was completely valid, and I just want to really thank our ancestors here, because they did the best they could. So what they try to do, I think, was figure out life, right? And then say, all right, how do we survive through life? My mother figured it out. And it required, for me and our family, a lot of canned goods accumulation. We had a whole cold closet with this big bedspread in front of it. We lived in this old house. It wasn't very classy, but it really worked. And so this bedspread in front of with a pantry with all the canned goods. So we were well set. And I can tell you a lot about Campbell's mushroom soup and what you can make out of it. So thanking my mother and her parents and further, because it worked. It worked. We are here in bodies because of them and those stories. And now we get to evolve our own stories and say, well, all right, thank you. And I get to pull out the stories now and then. But maybe I don't have to live by those. Maybe I can update my own stories and put something else into my brain that I can circulate with the same frequency. You know, think about, Kim, think about that, the frequency of there's more to do. There's too much to do. There's too much to do. And Sundari, and I can't do it. I can't, like the frequency of that. Well, imagine saying that's like a mantra, too much to do, too much to do. Imagine if your mantra was really like one of the sacred mantras, even Om Namah Shivaya would probably be better than there's too much to do. Or even another mantra that says, and I know I can do it. It's something that I noticed for us as we were sort of going into this COVID experience collectively, and even with the election, some idea about the future, we don't know about the future. This word unprecedented, how many times have we heard that word? It's never happened before, whatever. So I kept seeing an asterisk that would say, and we can't handle it. Of course we're scaring the crap out of ourselves because we think we can't handle it. But looking back through your life, you've always handled it. Maybe to a greater or lesser degree of grace, but you've always handled it. And collectively, we've handled it. And I know it's arguable, and you probably have images of how we haven't handled it well. Fine. And kind of have that start to be a mantra or a different kind of idea that you could install something that would support you. Because I think I might have said this here, but my another persona of mine, the oh no, looks like this. Oh no! Anybody else have that persona? Oh no! It's that great emoji. I use that one often. Oh no! Like that one says, oh no, I don't know what to do, right? We can't do this. And I think there's a lot of oh knowing going on. Like, yeah, we can handle it. Whatever it happens, we'll handle it. People have done that. No matter what, they've handled it. So that's my story. And so the idea of installing and hypnotizing yourself to that degree of detail and sensory imagery and like all this, we can handle it and we're going to be so strong and tough and whatever you could add that would support you hypnotizing yourself into a different state. So that's how I want to open here. And I wonder if anybody has any comments you want to toss in right now.
Julie, it's Suzanne again.
Yes.
I'm just so curious. I've been reading the book, but then I started skimming around, jumping around, and I got to the note that you have about upper limits. Yeah, and I found that fascinating, right? And you were talking about how the upper limits feel inside our bodies, and something that I've experienced most of my life is the societal perspective on upper limits, and how if you're joyous and joyful most of the time, then people just assume that you're just fluff, and right, and you have never had any challenges, and you don't have anything going on that's challenging, and then when they find out even one little thing of your reality, they're blown over. And it's just, if you can speak to that societal, I don't know, what is that? I want to hear any tidbit that you have on it. If
Yes, tidbits. I'm totally enjoying that word, tidbits. Yes, upper limits. So if anybody here doesn't know what that is, so Gay and Katie, that's how I got into their work. They said this great thing in their book called Conscious Loving. He said, if you do this work of moving energy and speaking the truth and keeping your agreements and taking 100% responsibility, there are no real problems. And finally, I translated that into, oh, because you're basically living in creative brain, like you're in flow. There's no problems, except for one. Now, first, some of you never heard this crazy idea, so I want that to settle for a moment. What? There are no problems. Yeah, because there's nothing you're stumbling over. You're in flow. You're handling. You're just like, oh yeah, okay, there's that thing, and oh yeah, my tire's flat, or oh yeah, we just had this, people got sick, or whatever. There's no problems because you're feeling what you're feeling and you're moving through it. They said, but there's one real problem, and that is feeling too good. And when I read that, I thought, I got to find out more about these people. I'd never heard such a thing in my life. I knew a lot about not feeling good, but feeling too good. So it made me very curious. And as having studied with them for a long time and really done a lot of my own research about feeling too good, to understand, at least from this perspective, we're wired very well for reactive brain. We've got it down. So every single one of us on this call knows how to do anger. You might not be a master at it, me either. And we know how to do fear. We're great at fear. Really, right? Great at fear. And we know how to do sadness. So those very dense frequencies we've mastered. Bravo, bravo. As a species, we got it down. Not so much the stuff above the line. Neutrality, acceptance, appreciation, and actually existing in those frequencies as an ongoing experience. Love, joy, peace. Here's my sphere. So we've got it down here. We've got the dense contracted ones. We did it. But these out here, these are these other realms. Now, of course, a lot of people through the ages have studied these realms and immersed themselves, and not me. So I'm glad they've been out there exploring, because they've left us all kinds of information. We're teaching it right now. We are just blessed with so many incredible teachers that we get to hear from and look at. Wow. So these are realms that are very interesting to me, because I've got these pretty much explored, but I don't really know what happens if I get to live in flow and ease and feel good. So Gay and Katie said, yeah, because we're not really wired for that yet. We can kind of get ourselves here, but maybe not here, or even Katie said, yeah, most of us can feel good for about 4 seconds. So just think about that, like, and we'll do a little experiment right now. Let's see. Okay, here's the task. See how long it takes for you to have a negative thought. Okay, I'm going to talk and just see how long it takes. It was a beautiful day in Boulder today. The sunny weather was wonderful. And okay, I already lost most of you. Yeah. Who thought climate change? I did. Right? Or, well, I think about.
Julie?
Yes.
So you just said we're not yet wired for these less dense frequencies. So is that part of the reason that we're on the planet now, do you think? Ooh. When you ask to start with, why are we here?
Yes.
So that ultimately our brains through evolution will begin to wire for creative brain? Maybe?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
What do you think? You like the idea? That's why I call it Evolutionary Power Institute. That's my work, because that's what I think we're up to. That's what I want to be up to. I mean, I know other people are up to other things. So yay, thank you. And they're doing those things. And that's not me. It's not what I came in for, I don't think. I don't have the science brain. That's not, I can't track it. But this I love. So I can do this all the live long day, and I do. So into the evening. So I love that I got to do this. But yeah, to imagine we're all these individual cells, we've got whatever it is now, 7.85 billion cells in the human body, and that some of us were made to be the warriors. Some of us were made to be the ones that are on the front lines. And thank you to all of them. And then some of us were made to hang around playing like this, exploring other things. And going back to what Robbie read to us that first night, and that you have somewhere in your manuals, I don't know where it is. It's in the inner map for sure. How many, like it takes one person at the level of peace to counterbalance, what do you think it was, Robbie? 70 million.
70 million. That's
yes,
right.
Below, that live below the line. Like to get it, it's not, I mean, I am a WASP. I like having, I want to be productive like everyone. My answer, like that's important to me, that I think I'm doing something. Well, I actually really think I'm doing something by exploring these realms and saying, oh, it's not just for people that are meditating 5 hours a day. Thank you, Dalai Lama, for doing that. That I can find a way and a path to do that every day. To be able to be out here and try this out and check it out. And rewire my own body, my own brain. And I think that's what we're doing. And this next exercise that I'm going to lead you through, I believe is about rewiring, because we are saying things to ourselves. We are pulling ourselves into a trance, into a certain frequency by what we talk to ourselves about. And you're in there all the time. You're the main person at the microphone of your own radio station. And so what do you want to be broadcasting to yourself? And then how is that going to influence your physiology, what you attract to other people? In terms of their responses, because you're sending out frequencies, so you're going to pull in frequencies. And then what you impact, how you impact people who are around you. Just simply by emanating love and joy. Like you can just stand there in the line and that's what you're doing. And people, it's a frequency. That's what I think. I think it's an energy. You're putting it out there and that people will feel it, whether it's conscious or unconscious for them. It matters. So let me walk you through this next piece, because we're building. We've been building. You know something about what the inner map is about. You know something about how you hypnotize yourself. So now let's get into the nuts and bolts of a real, well, I love this exercise because it's changed my life. Well, so much of this has. So, but here's another piece to the puzzle. So if one of you would think of something that's really upsetting you, it might have to do with politics. It doesn't have to. Well, let's go with the politics, because that's what our theme is, right? And would be willing to demonstrate this with me, I'd really appreciate it. So is somebody feeling a little concerned about the election who would be willing to demonstrate?
One of my sisters is in QAnon, and that really scares me.
Okay. So Lynn, are you wanting to do this?
Oh, what does that mean?
Wait a second. Okay. It means I'm going to show an exercise. I'm trying to figure out how to do. Yeah. No, I'm not going to show it. I'm going to do it with you, and then I'll put it on the screen so people can see what we did.
Okay.
All right. You ready? Okay. So I'm going to pin you up so I can see you, and other people, you can do what you want. If you, I don't really care if you stay on the screen or you don't. Lynn, this is very Halloweenish.
You know what? I'm sitting in the dark with this. I could go turn on some lights. The sun's going down.
Well,
Or I could do that.
Are you really real, or are you a wraith that's just come
Here,
in?
let me go turn on a light. You want me to do that?
Okay, that sounds good. Just so we can see you better. I do like this. Oh, wow, look at that. There you are. Okay.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is, it's called Climbing the Inner Map. And we're going to start with the most dense energy, the most contracted state of shame, and we're going to climb all the way up the map. So that's the process.
Could I ask Lynn to take your earphones off, because I think that's what's causing the noise.
Well, then I won't be able to hear, but I'm probably moving around. I'll just stop moving because I have a really sensitive microphone. So is that better? I'll just be really still.
My Apple earbuds, my brand new Apple earbuds, no matter what I do, they buzz, and I kind of think that may be. So anyway.
So technology. Lynn, can we try it without your headphones and just see if you can hear us? If you can hear me?
Yeah. What does it sound like on your end? I'd like to know just so I can adjust. I might be able to adjust something.
A white noise, kind of a.
Oh, it's my fan.
Oh.
Wait, I have tinnitus, so I always have a fan on. Is that better?
No, that's not it.
Oh, must be the hard drive.
Somebody
Here, let me.
I think it's your earbuds.
All these sensitives.
I just took my headphones off. I can hear you a little bit, but not as well. But
No,
I can go with it.
I think, yes, it's fine. It's good. And yes.
Do you still hear that sound?
A little bit. It kind of comes and goes.
Because I'm going to put my headphones on if it doesn't make any difference, because I can't hear that very well.
Okay.
Is that
okay?
Awful again?
Yes. So meanwhile, can you get yourself back into QAnon?
Yes. It's always there.
Great. So so now what I'd like you to do is we're going to go up the map or out the map, starting with a shame story. So what is a shame story about your family or this whole political landscape, or what's a shame story?
Well, I did shame her some, and I felt bad about it and apologized, because when I was in college, she ended up with a cult in the Catskill Mountains, and so I drove up there to get her, and she didn't come right back with me, but she flew home like within a week, and I reminded her of that cult, the cult, like QAnon is. Yeah, because anyway, I felt bad about that. I don't think that was the best way to inspire her to change her life. It's reminding her of a time when it was one of her low points.
Well, good point. And I actually think that probably was a pride story, because there's contempt when we shame someone else. So we'll get there. So we've got a few steps before that. And so then what is a story about what's wrong with you? That's the hallmark of shame. Something really wrong with you.
That I'm not open-minded. I have hardly any open-mindedness to it, because I think that the things that they say about Democrats are like, we're all pedophiles, and they align with white supremacy, and I don't support that. And
so what do you say about you when you're in shame? That you should be more open-minded?
I don't think that I can't with that, with QAnon.
So would you be willing to let yourself know your whole span of this, and starting with, now it might be in this situation, so maybe Lynn, what we should do is pick you back up, because you're kind of existing from agitated fear to anger to pride. You're really in the mobilized states right now. Is that accurate?
I'm also had insomnia, and I'm stressed out from this election, and I'm tired.
Okay, I'm going to persist a little longer. So when you get really tired and you give up, what do you say to yourself?
It's hard, because this is such a huge election. It's overwhelming. Like, if Trump gets reelected, I think I'm excited for Biden to win, and I'm also so scared that if Trump wins, it's not good. And that scares me. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I feel so scared, and this anxiety feeling and not sleeping.
Yeah. Okay.
So I am in that right now. Like, I can just feel that feeling, like anxiety.
Kind of abandon the lower levels for the moment. We'll come back and I'll illustrate them later. So let's let you be fully in fear. And tell us the biggest, worst fear story you can think of. What's the thing, the terrible thing that could happen? Trump gets reelected. What's the terrible thing that could happen?
That he'll just try his best to get rid of the Constitution. We won't have a democracy.
Uh-huh.
We're going to have a full-blown dictator who's the Antichrist.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I do think he's evil. There's so much corruption.
Uh-huh.
But so I'm afraid of that happening. And then I feel like I lost my sister. She's getting, I tried to talk to her the other day. I was talking to all my other sisters, and she wouldn't talk to me. She texted me and said, I can't talk to you until Thanksgiving. So that didn't feel good. And I feel like, so there's this losing her. She was one of my best friends at one point in my life. And so she's brainwashed. Like, I don't know her. It's like they sucked her into their black hole.
So noticing, so that people get the gist of this. So right now you just dip down into sadness.
Mm-hmm. Drop a little bit more into sadness.
Uh-huh. I've lost my sister. She's been sucked down into this black hole. And for us all to really appreciate, now I hear the pain of this. So, I mean, I really get this. And to notice how these stories are very intense. Like, I've lost my sister. She's been sucked down a black hole. What happens as I'm saying that back to you?
What the hell? It sounds humorous.
Oh,
for some reason, it was like, it's so extreme to hear you say that back to me, because that is what I've been thinking.
That's what's that back there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to say it out loud is sort of like the difference between being, 3 a.m. in the middle of the day and, oh, geez, it's nothing at 3 a.m. It's not nothing. So, okay, so I've lost my sister. She's gone down a black hole, sadness. And then, but you can get up to, I don't know if it's frozen or agitated fear yet, about Trump could get elected. He then, dictatorship, no constitution.
Anger.
Oh, now we're getting up to anger. Okay, great.
Not yet. I'm concerned about what's going to happen, and I'll be angry because I think it'll be a stolen election. I don't.
Okay, so now we're up to it, but it would have to be stolen.
That's pride.
Yeah,
I think it's stealing.
Great, nice, because look at how you're kind of occupying those upper regions. You got sadness, fear, anger, pride. Now, it might be frozen fear some of the time, especially if you have insomnia, like, or there might be more of an agitated fear. Oh my God, it's going to be a dictatorship. But to start to see how you are telling yourself these stories, and they're very good stories. So tell me more. What do you see when you see him getting elected, and the Constitution is, and it's a dictatorship? What's going to happen next? What's the rest?
I think I might try to move to New Zealand or Canada.
Okay, I'll have to move.
I don't want to because I have a community here, but we'll have to cut him off completely out of my world, like no news. I like to read, but I'm afraid of just what he's going to do. And, there's more destruction, more deregulating the environment, less rights for animal rights. And so I have to let go because I can't change him, and I can't change the outcome of this election. It's just going to be what it is.
Well, so you might have just tried a little bit above the line, but let's not go there quite yet. I'm going to hold you back for a moment longer. So you've been up in the mobilized states, and can you see how you're doing that? How good you are at that? That you're doing that?
I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah. Well,
you're witnessing that.
Yeah. And you're very good at it. Because you're telling yourself the story over and over.
Right. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see it. I was talking to one person and doing this process with her, and she was seeing, it was really interesting, because she wasn't joking. She got to zombies and Nazis. And she could see somehow zombie Nazis marching down the street. and that wasn't funny. It wasn't.
Ew.
She really
Yeah,
was.
that creepy and scary.
Yeah, kind of really like, oh, she can have. Now we've got lots of those sorts of images around us anyway, and it's easy to take those on. But she was the one playing those over and over in her mind. No wonder she was scared. So let's see if you'd be willing to move above the line.
Sure.
Is be okay with you?
Yes.
Okay. You can always go back to those other stories.
No, I don't want to.
Well, I'm not going to argue with any of them. I could say it's all true. I mean, I don't know. And so the first step is just neutrality. What would be a neutral story?
I want to not judge her, but I'm having trouble doing it. So being neutral would be getting out of that into just acceptance of she's making her own choices. Okay, so you just jump right up to acceptance. So it goes neutral, acceptance, neutrality, acceptance, appreciation. So yeah, okay, so you're trying to accept her choices. And let's hang out with neutral just for a moment, because neutral has a lot of power. Of course, it sounds kind of bland, but it's got a lot of power to say, oh, it is. And to let yourself rest in, it is. Just is. It just is. Just is. Like all the stuff all around us. In this moment, it just is. And then you were already kind of coming up to acceptance. And so I guess we would say she is. And letting yourself feel that with her. Oh, she just is. Not good, not bad, just she is. I like this. Again, Katie used the example of this is what acceptance feels like in our bodies. Oh, it's Monday. Okay, I accept that it's Monday. So we don't have to be like, oh, yay, or like, I just give up or give into it. It's just like, oh, it's Monday, and she is. So what happens when you try that out? Definitely I have a feeling of relief. Like it just sort of feels like there's more space rather than that contracted feeling of judging and being scared of what's going to happen. Yeah. Even to our relationship. But yeah, if I just go into a place that it just is what it is and just is. Mm-hmm. It's Monday and she is and you are and your relationship is. Yeah, so let's try appreciation because it's next up on the map. What can you appreciate about any of this? About your sister, about the election, about politics, any of it? It's challenging. I've never experienced anything like this with Trump and what's happening to America. I would have never imagined this could happen. And then my sister being in QAnon, it's just like, I could go on, but I wouldn't ever, it's a new challenge. Challenge, nice. So that has to expand my world to have to deal with it, to want to deal with it. Great. How does your body feel now? Getting better. Okay. Anything else just to add a little dollop? Anything else you want to appreciate in all of this? I think it'll be good. I should do some writing about what it is I remember that I love about her. Oh, we just kind of got up to love, which is next. Oh, yeah. So tell us more about what do you love about your sister? When I was a teenager, she supported me the most of all of my family members when I started writing music. Because she was just she still loves it, and she listens to all my CDs and more than my other family members. I think my mother might have listened to them a little bit. But anyway, she's very intelligent and like it can talk to her about a lot of things. She has she was just different than some of my other friends. And she was my sister, and there was just a lot of love there growing up. Yeah.
Did you feel that in your body?
And also, I kind of felt myself get sad for a second, but I want to stay into this higher vibration of it.
Nice job. Yeah, well, the heart does that. The heart is very interesting because it's got joy and sadness and love all in that one place. So yeah, one can certainly bring another one in. And maybe you just hit a little bit of an upper limit. If you started to feel better and then, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell us a memory of you and your sister that reminds you of how much you love her?
That's a good question. Actually, the CD that I put out just last fall, she called me and she wrote this long thing about, first she wrote to me and wrote this long thing about how much she loved it. Oh. And she was like turning it on to all her friends. And, when you publish something and put it into the world, you don't know if anyone's going to like it. Yeah. And it's great when a sister is so supportive. That just recently happened.
Wow. How's your body feeling now?
So that feels good, remembering that moment.
Nice. And so we've got to love, and let's see if we can get to joy. What would be a story of joy about you and your sister?
Just from this very short conversation, I think it's just that we've been through a lot together, and we're in opposite places right now, but because of the history and the love, I think we'll be okay. We'll be fine. We need to get past this election. It's probably best that I didn't talk to her before Thanksgiving, but I don't know how that would have gone.
Yeah, well, who knows? And so let's see if we can make it all the way to peace, because you kind of went there, I think. Tell us a story that holds peace about you and your sister.
I feel peaceful just in this conversation when I notice that I am accepting. That moment of feeling accepting, and then it is what it is. It just is.
Yeah, just kind of coming back to that.
And stay neutral there, and then I feel this certain kind of joy and peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there it is. So to let yourself have that, and to know you're the one that did that. I asked you the questions, but you were the one that created those sensations of love and joy in you.
Thank you for those questions.
Yeah.
That didn't take very long.
Oh.
I'm so glad I participated.
Oh,
first
good.
I was like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Well, great. Thank you. Thanks for being willing to be our person to show us. Really appreciate that. Fun to sit across from you and connect with you.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to bring everybody back. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Yay, Lynn. Yay, who humans are and how we're designed, that it can just look like that. So I'm going to show you now. I'll show you the handout. If I can. No, I always get all prepared and then I can't find it. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Oh, good. Phew. Come on. There it is. You see it? Yes. So that's what we did. That's kind of simple looking, isn't it? It's not complicated. It's powerful. It's a powerful process. Now, I couldn't get Lynn to start down here. So, but we could, or we couldn't. We didn't have to. We could start anywhere in the map, because you were pretty mobilized, and so I think that was great because we didn't have to sort of trudge through this stuff. But you can start in shame and then go from one story to the next, and all we did was, what's the story? What's the shame story? What's the guilt story? What's the despair story? That's all that was. So it's not complicated, but wow, to be able to do it and to see the choice involved there. Oh, I can choose. I can choose these stories. Now, and I'm not saying one story is better than the other. You can choose any story you want. If you like the agitated fear story, pick that story. QAnon, that's a really good agitated fear story. That's fine. Let's just choose it so that it's not just you falling into it or you've heard it enough and you just think, oh, it's the truth. Well, okay, it's a truth, maybe, I don't know. But I wouldn't call it more true than any of these others, including the ones that are above the line. I would say that if you choose these stories from below the line, it's a kind of, ooh, this sounds very little doomy, but it's sort of at your peril, because this is all stress brain. So that if you are in reactive brain, you're in a stress response. If you are in a stress response, you are not in a healthy health and rebuild response. Those are all up here. It's an either or mechanism in your body. So that it's a lot of my motivation to be doing these calls, because I know it's hard on people to live in reactive brain. A lot of us are in reactive brain much of the time, maybe most of the time. I was talking to one person this week, or it was last week, it's only Monday. And he's been doing this work for a long time. I've known him a long time. And he said, wow, I realized now that I'm seeing it, I'm in reactive brain from the time I open my eyes till the time I go to sleep at night. Whoa, that's intense. Now, of course, he gets out on his bike, or he has moments, or he's laughing, right? So it's not always, but it probably feels that way. But to understand, that means he's the one telling the stories that are generating the cortisol, that are generating the adrenaline, that are generating that stress response and keeping his body in fight, flight, freeze. Now, again, I don't have a judgment about it. It's more of saying, well, yes, and if we're that good at doing it there, in those realms, what if we were even better, or at least as good at generating health and kind of these expanded states, which actually, I would say, my story is that they will help you feel better, and they will definitely support people around you to feel better. Not that you have to, like, that doesn't mean you're responsible for anybody, but like, woohoo, like, that's a skill.
Julie?
Yes, I'm going to stop the share. Back, and I'm going to make you all big again. Okay. Woo, I feel like fire. Who said Julie? Who's talking?
It's Aisling.
Oh, Aisling, there you are. Hi, Aisling.
Hey. Okay, I'm spinning on something here. I keep going around in circles on it. So,
okay.
Racism and somebody who somebody's racist, right? I imagine that if we all were in creative brain and above the line and in peace, love, joy, if all of us were there, then racism might not even be a conversation, potentially. But we're not. So racism exists, and one of those stories that is in my mind, and I probably is in a lot of people on this call's mind, is like the story that you have to make sure people know not to be racist, and like be hyper vigilant on that front. And so but I guess I'm trying to find that space of when you say, if you're above the line and you feel good, that might actually help other people feel good. But it actually might even be broader than that. It might be when you're above the line and in those spaces of peace, love, joy, where, I mean, this is a really early thought, but I just don't know where racism would fit into that paradigm. So then not only are you making other people feel good, you're almost like leading by example. You're like emanating a different way. So if there is somebody that is a racist in the room, it might be more effective to almost just lead by example rather than be like, this is not the way you should be.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Well, I'm a racist, and my most successful racism is only when I'm below the line.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm above the line, I'm a really crappy racist. So if you can stay above the line, at least it's going to help me, just because,
right.
You know, if you go, the fuck was that? I'm like, oh my God, what? It's probably a Muslim, you know? And then it's like, there's racism right there, because it's an enemy, it's somebody, it's an other, it's something. So it's like, if we can all stay above the line, but that doesn't have anything to do with like, the bank won't give a Black family a mortgage.
Yeah, no, but
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, I keep struggling with you need to I need to tell my dad when he says something racist.
Yeah.
Right? Every time. That's like a simple example. I'm not talking about systemic
That's
racism.
great. Great. That's great. Right with your dad. Terrific.
Right. Yeah. And so at some point it's not going to work because he's 76 and he doesn't understand what I'm talking to him about. You know, there's just like his imagination is limited in that direction.
Yeah.
But it's more effective potentially if I just focus on me being above the line and have that ruminate and ripple out in the room, where he might pick up on being on something in a different way in his body and I don't know, change in a different way.
Yes, there's so much in what
You
you're
are truly a laugh a minute, and I miss you so much.
I don't know who said that or what you meant, but good. So there's so much going on in what you just were talking about. And of course, yes, I know, exactly. So let me just pick a couple of pieces of that. One is I'm interested in the most bang for my buck. So in terms of my energy expenditure, I want to have the biggest impact. And I believe that's going to happen in a field of expansiveness, and that if I'm doing something in reactive brain, I'm going to create resistance. So right away, I think I'm going to lose a lot of my power of whatever it is I'm wanting, my intention is, or whatever. So there's one piece, that when I'm above the line, it's an ease. I just read Caste. If anybody hasn't read it, great book, C-A-S-T-E, about, it's really a really interesting read. She's terrific. And she's basically saying African-Americans are the untouchables of the US. And I was reading along and then I was like, okay, I think I said this last week, but I'm going to emphasize it, say it again. Reading along, and she's talking about these deaths of despair for white people in 2015, where our mortality rate went up. And she says this one thing that is the heart of all of this, that who are we if we're not better than? Who are we if we're not better than? And the panic that happens, and I think is happening in our country, because, oh my God, who am I if I'm not better than? And that we don't have, from reactive brain, there is no answer to that question. Well, I'm either up or I'm down. I mean, I really believe that's why our dominators of our culture are so freaked out that they have to keep bullying because it's the only thing they know. And that this, again, big old story, that people in pride, we know if we're in pride, pride goeth before a fall into shame, that those are the two places that we are either the ones in charge or we're on the ones under the heel and of humiliation, and that's how it works. Well, that's how it works in hierarchy, but that's not how it works in creative brain. So reactive brain is hierarchy. It's set up that way. Mobilization, immobilization. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to dominate, you're going to submit. or maybe you're going to dominate and I'll submit. Just trade off. But that's all reactive brain. It's all reactive brain. Get to creative brain, and like, that is not a question. Who am I if I'm not better than? Like, nobody's thinking about that. They're thinking, it's a pretty day. They're thinking, I love you. They're thinking, I connect, because I can't connect in reactive brain. I mean, that's just a piece of this. Like, if I'm in reactive brain, either I'm mobilized or I'm immobilized, but I'm disconnected from myself. If I'm going to say, get down from there, you can't do that, I've got to disconnect from me. If I'm going to say, okay, I won't do that, I've got to disconnect from myself. In a creative brain, that's not happening. And Verna is waving to me saying, don't forget. Is that what you're saying? Will you unmute yourself and tell me? Can't hear you still. You don't know why. So you might not be able to talk to us. Well, we've got a couple minutes left here. So I'm going to come back to you hoping that you've solved the issue. I could dig and find the email, or, and we can do it next time too, Verna. So thank you for, it's like a signal from the technician. We only have a couple minutes left. So yes, so coming back around. So connection and ease and equality. Nobody believes, you do not. Do a scientific experiment with yourself. Notice when you are in reactive brain, do you ever think to yourself, oh, I am just the same as everyone else? I mean, this is my hypothesis. You don't. You think I am better than, or you think I am less than. Because that's how it works. But in creative brain, it's just like you wouldn't even be thinking about it. You'd be thinking about, hey, let's play. Hey, let's come up with something together. Let's collaborate. It's our natural state. It's our natural tendency from that state is to connect and collaborate. Nobody has to tell us to do it. We just do it because that's who we are as humans. You don't need any training. You just do it. So the only thing to have to watch for is, what is my state? Am I in reactive brain? Am I in creative brain? If I'm in reactive brain, my main strategy is to keep my mouth shut and do things to distract my mind, which is going to keep telling me these below the line stories until I can actually shift to creative brain. So because it is about time for us to end, I want to kind of wrap it with a couple of last thoughts. If you've got the Inner Map book, you've got that that process I just went through of climbing the inner map. Use the process. Like, go forth and use the process right now in the next 5 minutes. It's not going to, well, it might take you 10 minutes. It's not long. But right away, turn around if you can. Tonight, use it, because when I think about it, when I think, oh, Julie, you should go do that, I'm like, eh. When I do it, it's kind of mind-blowing. Like, my body likes it. My body knows those dense stories. And when I get into these other realms, it's like, oh, thank you. So use it, and use it with your pod or your person or your four-legged, whoever might be around. And if you only have a plant, that's fine too. But try it to see what happens. And especially use it tomorrow. Watch your mind, watch the stories it's telling you. Our minds are great ghost story tellers, and see if you can shift to an above the line story. And that's the practice. I mean, I have plenty of below the line stories. I got them. The practice is, can I actually choose the above the line story? So, sending you all off into the world of the election and politics and all the people you're going to impact tonight, tomorrow, the next day. You are. I was just writing a blog. If you don't get my blogs and you want my blog, just go to my website, info@juliacolwell.com. Look, it's a plug. Really, I just want you to read that blog, because it's, the title is, so let's see if I can get it. No, I can't quite get it. We need leaders. It's something like that. We need leaders. And then there's an asterisk, or in parentheses, And that means you. And that means you. That's not someone else. It doesn't have to be some fancy person that's on a soapbox, right? Who's dressing a certain way. You are the one. And what is a leader? It's just somebody who's saying, hey, go this way. I was imagining a path in the woods, and like we get lost and we can't find it again. And how do we know? Oh, because somebody stands up, maybe they climb a tree, or they're on a hill, and they say, oh, I see the path. It's that way. Look, there's the light. I can see there's an opening in the woods. That's all you need to do. You don't have to do anything fancy. You just say, yeah, you know, I think there could be a different story. I think there could be a different story. And people will be grateful because it feels better. And it reconnects us to what we really know. Somebody said something to me today about, I can't remember. She said, oh, you know, you're doing something. And I said, well, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm just reminding people of who we are. That's a fun job. I've got a fun job. You all know who you are. I just get to go around reminding you. So thank you for being out there. Thank you for being those lights in the world. And we've got one final call next time, same time next week. So my intention is to get this right out to you in case you want to share it with anybody.
Do we have 2 calls after the election?
Just one is my plan. Because it's 4 total, well, plus the training call. Who knows? Who knows what we'll do after?
Okay.
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
what we have scheduled. Any last completions from anybody? All right, blessings to you all. So happy that I get to share the planet with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.